Hey everyone, welcome. It's Isaiah from IsaiahBell.com, and this is another one of my podcast episodes of the Isaiah's Inspiring Evening podcast. So today we are having another one, and I'm sad to say the last one for now, conversation with the amazing Dr. Sheri Elle Brown. Hi, Sheri.
Hi everyone.
So this is our fifth episode. So in case you've missed all the others, go, run. What are you waiting for? Go and listen to the whole series of what we called Aligned and Unstoppable Conversations with Dr. Sheri Elle Brown. And it is a series about shifting from hustle to alignment, stepping into authentic power, and embracing multidimensional confidence. So we've recorded four conversations already. But I'm still going to introduce Sheri just in case, if you've not been listening or you've not been paying attention or you missed the first four episodes. So Dr. Sheri Elle Brown is a spiritual psychologist, abundance mindset mentor, intuitive empowerment coach, life and business coach, human potential catalyst, founder of the ZenFlow OS. She is passionate about helping others step into their limitless potential. She helps visionary entrepreneurs, creators, and spiritual leaders to master their multidimensional mindset and energy so they can confidently turn inspired downloads into aligned offers, books, and impact-driven success. Big program, right?
Ta-da!
2 days. Yeah, but and if you don't know exactly what multidimensional mindset is, well, you're in the right place because we're going to be talking about that again, which is one of my favorite topics to talk with you, Sheri. This episode is called Chakras, Confidence, and Quantum Creation, the Final Activation. So,
Ooh.
hold on to your seats. We're off to talk about chakras, their alignment with Dr. Sheri's 5C framework, and multidimensional mindset, practical ways we can align, feel empowered, connected, clear, and confident as we create our reality, because that is what we do, right? We create our reality.
We
In case
do.
you forgot that. Not you, Sheri, but the people listening. So, yeah, I'm really excited that you're here again. And uh, before we dive deep into the chakra thing, I would like for you to recap for the people. What do you mean by multidimensional? Who are we? Are we just a body, a 3D body? Playing
I
dumb,
love it.
Isaiah.
And we all have our own journey, and I definitely we all go on our own paths. And when we listen to the whispers of our soul, the nudges from our soul, from the universe, we really do begin to step into. And I want to be really careful about how I say stepping into our fullest potential. Potential is one of those kind of wiggly words that can mean different things to different people. So my old school way of, hopping into my potential in part had to do with overachieving. And
Mm,
that overachieving led me down a path of really creating an awful lot of imbalance and dis-ease in my body. And I started to work out of it with mindset. But mindset to me began to feel very narrow in the way that I'm going to use a ridiculously bigger word, the way that we operationalize mindset as this sort of like all heady intellectual thing
hmm
that
hmm
if I'm mentally disciplined and if I'm focused and I'm thinking the right thoughts, and so it's setting up, I think, like a very hardcore linear way of how we perceive ourselves and perceive our reality and perceive the
Yeah.
nature of the universe. And so as I was growing and expanding, and I know we all know this, and I've talked about this in other podcast episodes. where we all are very aware of mind, body, and soul. And we've been talking about mind, body, and soul forever. But I wanted to take it to the next level and really begin to describe what is happening what is happening inside of us and outside of us in a much, I think, more descriptive way to talk about mind, body, and soul.
Mm,
I feel like mind, body, soul just kind of is like a little bit flat. It's a little bit tropey. I don't even know what the word would be for it. So that's when I leaned into this multidimensional mindset
mm,
because we are multidimensional beings. We are physical, we are intellectual, we have that amazing mental energy body that is a part of our aura and our energy body system. And then, of course, and that is very fourth dimensional energy. We often get stuck in there as humans
mm.
because we humans kind of think that our minds are the be all end all, and we forget about the energetic aspect of who we are. And so then there's that fifth dimensional aspect of us that is quantum, all about soul, expansive, etheric, infinite, wise, always connected, always aligned with our truth with the capital T. And to me, multidimensionality is a mindset, it is our human nature, and it is
Mm.
exactly how the universe works. And I don't want to go way out there at the moment, but I will say we are also aware that there are definitely more than five dimensions. We're beyond, there are five dimensions and beyond.
Yeah.
So we know that there are
Mm.
Pleiadians and Arcturians and, all of those beautiful energetic entities that are hanging out in like the ninth dimension or the 12th dimension. So I'm fully aware of that. But, in terms of our humanness, we're really expanding into this 5D energy in a big, profound
Mm.
way. We are expanding, we are changing, we are shifting the collective consciousness in this new age in such a beautiful, powerful, expansive way. And I
Mm.
feel as though part of my journey and path is to invite as many people as possible in to step into this new level of awareness and upgrade that we are all getting.
I
So
love
that is
that.
that is the story of multidimensional mindset.
Well, sure. What I find really interesting is that it's not about uh I've heard, I'm in the spiritual world. I've been interviewing people for a while, so um I've heard a lot about changing dimension, going into the next dimension, rising into the next dimension. And what I love about what you say is that it's not about denying the third or the fourth. It's about all of them and the sixth and the seventh and who knows how many. So it's not about dropping our bodies and kind of elevating into our minds and then even maybe higher. It's about all of the dimensions. So it's about being that multi-dimensional and not changing dimension, as in there's one that is not good enough, right?
Well, right,
Uh,
it's really about integration.
yeah, yeah. And I love that. It's really, it makes so much more sense for me than what when I've heard other mentors or spiritual people take discussing that we are now above the third dimension. And I'm like, hey, but we're sitting here, we're talking with our voices that come from vocal cords, which are really very physical. So no, we're not elevated right now. We can't just dismiss parts of ourselves. And just like people who believe very strongly that they don't have a spirit, and I'm sad for them. It's sad for me to see that people want to dismiss their bodies or their minds. It's about the whole thing, being whole, not about choosing and neglecting or letting go of some bits of ourselves. And that's why I love the multidimensional aspect of your work.
Well, and it's so beautiful because, and I know that you'll appreciate this, it's very practical. It's a tool. And when we acknowledge ourselves as that, we can use it as a tool. And I will say this, in one of your other episodes, I gifted everyone my quick release blueprint. It may be episode 4.
No,
And
I
I
think it's episode 3 actually, but
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And the thing about it is that I go through how we perceive ourselves and our, problems or life challenges, how we look at them in 3D, how we problem solve it 4D, and how we can align with that wise aspect of who we are in 5D.
Mm,
So we never, if we get, and I do have a story to tell you, it just happened to me this week. But when we get into 5D, we can actually begin to observe our three-dimensional selves in a much different way,
mm,
where we're not stuck in a problem, where we can
yeah.
change how our energy is flowing to to release the problem, see it in a different way, get out of overthinking mode. If we're creating a problem in 4D, we kind of can't resolve that problem in 4D. We really
Mm.
do need to move around those dimensional energies to come up with a solution that feels
Mm.
very resonant with who we are.
I want to hear your story. I just want to add something there that is, for me, the idea that we are all these these all these dimensions means from my 5D I can have so much compassion and empathy and love for my 3D human who sometimes is overwhelmed, or for my 4D brain who sometimes, again, thinks that she can solve everything,
Right.
whereas she's lost into thinking, instead of feeling the energy and doing energy work. But it's about this me being um I would say a mother to the other two, who kind of, oh, come on, let guys, we can't do this. You can't do this alone. You need me. We all need each other, basically. And I love that because it's not about um, feeling less than. It's about feeling all of it.
Right. It's
Now,
so easy to feel less than in 3D and in 4D, and we
mm,
do it to ourselves way more often than we probably should.
of course.
And I mean that 5D energy, it kind of goes back to what you were saying about where it can definitely seem abstract. People are talking about ascension, but we're here in physical form, and our beautiful, amazing physical form gives us an opportunity to play and create on this planet Earth in
Mm.
a really powerful way. And I don't know if the time is right to say this, but I was reading an article last night where I do believe science and spirituality are just going to become further and further integrated in a really beautiful way. I was reading an article about quantum entanglement, and it turns out that quantum particles and entanglement, and I don't want to get in all theoretical mode, I really do have a point, is measurable as being so quick, significantly faster than the speed of light. And so a particle from one side of the universe to the other can communicate and feel that energy in an instant. It's like one quadrillionth of a second, like some ridiculous tiny moment in time. And I'm bringing that up because we are connected and we are ascending, but we're still in physical form. And I think that 5D energy and mother analogy is beautiful. It's like divine mother energy because we are all connected, and but we still are 3D, 4D, 5D. Sometimes we do things that we're kind of like, oh God, why did I do that? Or in 4D, we think a thought where it's like, why am I thinking that? Why am I stuck? Why can't I get out of this loop? But when we acknowledge ourselves and integrate ourselves in at all levels, we have we're calling in and attracting that beautiful wisdom in a really powerful way. It just gives us another opportunity not only to find a solution, but to feel really good in our physical bodies and in
Mm.
our physical reality.
Yeah, I feel like that there is a similarity with how some of us at some point we get stuck into one way of thinking
Right.
and believe that everything and everyone is in that thing. I would compare that to languages, maybe. I don't know if I've discussed that with you already, but this is one of my obsessions. I speak several languages. And so I know that when I speak a different language, I have a different set of thoughts because the universe does not divide itself in in similar way in English than it does in Greek or in French. And I feel like the 3D trap is when or if I believe that there is only 3D. From the instant that I acknowledge and agree and accept that there is a 4D and a 5D and even maybe billions more Ds, then I can move from one to the other. And then if I'm stuck in one, I can get myself unstuck from another one. I can move basically from one to another. And it's not about never coming back. It's about this constant going up and down the dimensions according to what I need in my life or what serves me at this particular moment. And if I want to swim, I'd rather be in 3D because my body can swim, my mind cannot.
I love it.
And but if I want to problem solve, I think at least 4D and often get rid of the thinking little rabbit brain and go into 5D and then problem solve instantly, like from the
Exactly.
quadrillion second that you were mentioning.
Exactly.
Uh, so if I can get myself this fluidity of dimensions, that's when I feel like I'm winning at life.
It's beautiful. And it really, I mean, at the end of the day, it encapsulates our true nature anyway. It's
Mm.
exactly who we are.
Yeah.
And, a lot of, how could I say this? Here's a really good example, I think. And it goes back to my story. And maybe it's not as profound as I think it is in my head, but I'll say it anyway. I have a little community Facebook group that I'm a part of in our neighborhood in South Carolina. And about 3 days ago, one of the neighbors said, "Everyone be on the lookout. My husband was gardening and a copperhead snake bit him.
Wow.
And the fangs went through his glove and got into his skin. He's going to be okay." And I thought, oh my gosh, I just moved from California with rattlesnakes and now I'm like in Copperheadville. Um, and so that was that, and I didn't think too much of it other than I was becoming more aware of looking for snakes with my beautiful corgis. And then yesterday, another neighbor said, "Hey, everyone, heads up, a copperhead just bit my dog." And so now my antennas went up.
Mm,
And
of
I got
course.
on Amazon and I was looking for a product called Snake Be Gone. And I looked at the ingredients. It's kind of like cinnamon and chrysanthemum, like completely natural stuff. So it's not harmful to animals or people. I think snakes just don't like the smell. And so I was definitely in like more of like a little bit of a worry mode thinking about
Mm,
snakes and corgis and copperheads can blend in with the dirt and the grass and the whole
mm,
bit. And this kind of coincided with talking to my mom, and she's still having, some health issues with her hospital visit from last year. And I definitely found myself feeling the frequency of worry
mm,
in my body. And I
of
couldn't
course.
think my way out of it. I could not find a thought that would bring me out of that
Mm,
vibration. And I thought and I thought and I thought, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. The only place to go was to be in the present moment.
mm,
And that present moment is very fifth dimensional. It's kind of like that Taoist principle of Wu Wei, of Zen, of just sort of intentionally choosing to leave my thoughts in 4D and move into 5D mode. And I immediately shifted my vibration. So it just really it comes in handy with everything when we're tuning into our bodies, tuning into our minds, tuning into our souls, and what moving through those, I'm using hand signals right now and we're in a podcast. But moving through those different dimensions where you land on something that essentially raises your vibration and
Mm,
puts you
yeah,
back in your happy, connected place.
yeah, and that is very useful and practical way of dealing with the dimensions instead of having them either frightening, because I've heard so much fear about, oh, I'm stuck in third dimension. Oh my God, how can I, how can I become more than myself? And I'm like, chill. And at the same time, so much, contempt for, oneself, obviously, more than judging others. And it's like, it's again, I've been working these last few days on a program, and my conclusion around that is that mostly it's about the doing. Instead of thinking about it, it's about doing it. So with the dimensions, what you shared just with the snake story is exactly that. It's about doing it. Kind of stop thinking about it and be in the now, which is doing the fifth dimension. Let me do fifth dimension right now. And then I stop thinking, and then I stop this loop of worry. So I love it. I love the because it's an action thing. It's not basically. I don't believe there are many things we can solve with our brains nowadays, because they're very, very well trained to keep us in fear, worry, and other self-damaging loops.
Right. And and we forget that beautiful heart brain coherence, our brains are a tool. Our brains are very similar to AI. And we humans have I don't know how to say this. I do not, and I've been there. I'm not throwing judgment at anyone, but I have worked with a lot of clients who will say, I can't meditate, I can't calm down my mind. And I
Mm.
think that is just an egotistical response to what we're really deciding that we are capable of or not. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
and
There's a thing about um, what we are supposed to be. I should meditate. I should know how to. And it's like, what is meditation?
right,
For you,
right,
not in general, not for a Zen Buddhist monk, but for
right.
you. What is meditation? For my mom, meditation is painting, for instance. She never ever meditates in any proper or, advertised way. But give her a brush and a bunch of colors, and you will lose her for 5 hours.
I
I mean,
love
in the
that.
middle of COVID, she was terrified. She's an elderly woman, she's got poor health. She was terrified of catching COVID and of dying, basically. And she decided the only way was to paint. She painted 300 freaking paintings in a year.
Oh
She
my
just
goodness.
plunged into it, and she meditated her way her the fuck out of COVID, in a way that, she just plunged into it and forgot about her thoughts, her worries, her everything, her fears. So yeah, find your own meditation.
Meditation comes in many, many different
Mhm.
forms. And really, at the end of the day, it is about finding that stillness within. And when you want to take it to a different level, it can be about tuning in and listening. Meditations have many, many different purposes.
Yeah. But I believe that the one thing that will make us shrink is the self-judgment on I can't meditate, or I can't access fifth dimension. Of course you can. because
Absolutely.
it's there, it's like, and it's a doing thing. It's not we you I cannot think my way into fifth dimension.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's really about tuning in. And
Yeah.
you can tune in doing, and you can tune in any way that really works for you as an individual. And
Yeah,
I do have to say this, and I think it may be very much a part of what we're talking about right now. The feeling that I had of worry, I could feel the frequency of it in the deepest part of who I was
yeah,
in that moment. And that is the frequency that the universe will pick up on. And so I
yeah,
knew in 4D, I'm not liking this feeling. I need to figure out a way out because it is how we are being in the world that attracts what we want to us.
yeah.
And it really is a matter of being that deeper vibration. And of course, it led me down a path of Carl Jung, shadow work, archetypes. So I kind of had this whole sort of like creative download in the middle of the process. But ultimately what I wanted to say, and maybe this is not germane right now to this episode, but what I really want to get at without shadow work and archetypes and Carl Jung, when you think about the frequency of the thoughts that are really bringing you down, that you, as you were saying, talking about a feeling of not enoughness, low self-worth, anxiety, fear, lack, scarcity, all of the big things that we humans feel when we are disconnected from source energy. But that frequency that lies deep within you, that Carl Jung would say is more shadow work or archetypical, what I would say is tune into that frequency and just start asking yourself, what am I feeling and where is this coming from? Because it is that frequency that will begin to create your
Yeah.
reality.
Mm. I agree.
And so it's essential for multidimensional manifestation.
Mm.
And
Of
so I
course.
really, the other day, definitely wanted to get out of that deep worry mode. And when I say deep, it wasn't overwhelming. It didn't stop me from going on about my day, but it felt deep.
Yeah, and sometimes it's deep. It can also be just underground thing
Right,
that we kind of dismiss, forget about, and think that, oh, it doesn't matter. Yes, of course I'm worried, but I'm still going to do this or that. And the reality of it is that we are affected by these
right.
low energy things, or feelings, or vibrations. And if we don't deal with them, they will slowly eat us from the inside out. And
I
they will
agree.
manifest. They will manifest for sure.
Right. They will. And I know when I have clients that they're not manifesting what they want to see, why their vision is not coming to reality. That lower vibe frequency definitely can be playing a part.
Mm,
So
sure.
we think we're
Mm,
doing everything right and affirmations and journaling and everything, we're doing it all. And why are things not coming? It may very well be a lower vibration that may not even be something happening to you in your three-dimensional reality. It could be um, the frequency of the DNA that you've inherited for generations.
yeah. Yeah.
And it occurred to me the other day, I actually just made a YouTube video about this. My father's father was 13 during the Great Depression. And
Mm,
so they had no food. And at 13, he went out west to start building the railroads. And came home and had money for the family, all of that good stuff. But I'm sure that there's some lack, scarcity energy
of
floating
course.
around in my
Of
DNA.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. My
So
my mother was born during the war in Greece, and the Second World War in Greece lasted up until 1951 because there was a civil war just after the war. And so there were restrictions, I mean, like food restrictions. So she felt, and she was amongst the privileged ones, but still, there was no food. So the lack and the hunger, literally, is something that is in her DNA and in mine. And we have to be aware of that to be able to change our position. Let's put it this way. Because the fact that I'm aware of it now means that I can do something about it. If I'm just
Right.
if I just ignore that, then I just don't understand where is this coming from.
I
Um,
agree. And I think that's the beautiful part of this shifting ascension as it is into this 5D energy. More and more of us will becoming more self-aware, self-expansive. Consciousness cannot do anything but expand.
mm,
It's just the nature of consciousness. And I think that as we more of us tune in collectively, we don't have to live there. We don't have to get in any kind of a victimhood mentality. It is not what it is about. It is definitely a liberating piece of the puzzle on our journey of
yeah.
self-awareness. And that is why for everyone who is in that 5D mode, that spiritual mode, for those of us that are heart-centered and on that spiritual path, I know I have felt it myself where I just would rather return home. But here we are in 3D and we intentionally came here. And
Mm.
the question is why and what are we going to do with it in a really beautiful and metamorphosis, right? We're here to shift and become and expand
And and
and play and have fun and create.
yeah, and be the tide, I believe. Be the
Yeah,
tide that lifts the other boats.
exactly. And I
And
do
if we
think,
were just to just go back home, as you say, which means we just abandon ship.
right, we
And for
abandoned it.
me, I know that sometimes I hate it, but I'm here for that. I'm here for lifting others also, not just myself.
Right.
And sometimes it's annoying, and I would like to watch Netflix and eat cookies, but tough luck. That's not why I'm here. And I do watch Netflix and eat cookies at times, but I know that retreating into my 3D persona means not only bad things for me, which is bad enough, but I'm pretty sure it means bad things for whoever I'm supposed to inspire, to help, to accompany, to lift with me. And I believe that everyone who's listening to this podcast is the same as I am. We all have. If you felt the pull of the multidimensional person or vibration, well, then the mission is you've got the mission. So you can either completely deny it and make yourself miserable, obviously, or you have to play the game because that's why you came. And so it's kind of, yeah, let's do this.
And the game is so beautiful. When I used to say to my clients, who were you when you were 7? What were you creating? What fear did you have? And I'm talking about kind of like childhood mind, kindergarten mind, that part of like um mindfulness and stress mindfulness and all of that that piece of the puzzle, that curriculum that kind of is all about, having a great mindfulness practice. And part of that curriculum is really to perceive yourself with kindergarten mind,
Mm,
because there's something magical and whimsical and awesome and wondrous when we're 5 years old or 6 or 7 years old, before all the programming kicks in and all of the stuff kicks in, where we just create without fear.
mm,
We just trust life. And I believe that part of our human journey is to get back into trusting life with a capital T. And it
mm,
is definitely incremental. It is definitely intentional. It is a practice. It's a beautiful blend of integrating 3, 4, and 5D parts of who we are, taking action, being still. It's part of that ZenFlow model that I have for sure. But I think the bigger picture is most of us adults, in one way or another, are trying to get back to trusting life and ourselves with a capital T.
Mm,
How do we get back into that space? What would we create if we knew that that abundance is our divine right, that we're here to create, that there's nothing to fear?
mm. I spent last weekend at a fantasy festival, which means I was dressed as a steampunk witch. And there were fairies, orcs, hobbits, witches of all sorts,
I want to be a
fairies.
fairy.
And it was just incredible. I mean, to be with, and I'm talking 20,000 people, right? So not a tiny festival with music, with pirates singing rock and roll, with everything you can imagine from a fantasy world in real life. And I was like, hey, this is 5D, right? This is the people that have decided for this weekend at least that they are going to be that 5-year old and they're going to sew the freaking costume and they're going to come and play. And it was amazing the amount of creativity of there were people dressed as mushrooms. There were people dressed as animals. There was an amazing uh, cat panther thingy. The costume was twice as big as a human being. There were people, tiny people dressed as, and there were children, and the children were finding all of that absolutely normal. No, not even, not flinching, and singing the songs and listening to the concerts. And they found all that absolutely normal. And to me, it was really a good reminder that the play, the creation, the creativity, this is really where humans thrive, where we explode. The amount of joy in that festival was just off the roof, basically. Well, there was no roof; it was a huge garden, but and I think that we have forgotten and also been told, obviously, and also been forbidden to, become a grown up, get reasonable, go
Right,
to work,
right.
get married, have children, find a job, and it's like I saw families over there. I saw 4 generations. So there's a great grandfather, grandfather, father, and son, all of them dressed as hobbits.
That is
Fine,
so, so cute
it was just
and
like,
joyful and
yeah,
magical and endearing and creative. And
and such a permission, that these people give to themselves, and I I feel like I want to invite everybody to do so, whether it's dressing as a fairy or whatever you want to do, but give yourself permission to be that 7 or 5-year old because nobody's is going to prevent you from it. Basically, there's nothing bad can happen.
I
Mostly
think
if you
that
do
that
that
is
over the weekend and then on Monday, I'm guessing most of these people put a suit and go back to work, because some of them are computer engineers. Well, my son was, he was there as well, and he's a very well-paid computer engineer. Over the weekend, he was dressed as a hobbit with a huge
did he have the
fake,
big feet?
yeah, with a huge fake cardboard and absolutely. And then on Monday, he works for Social Security. So he's the computer engineer for a branch of the Social Security system in France. So, very well paid, square job. He can be both.
That is the thing. We can be both. It is definitely not one or the
Yeah.
other. And I think, it's kind of, and this kind of actually leads in, we were going to talk about chakras and my
Yes, we
five
were. I want that
framework,
too.
and that's fine. I mean, we can talk, it kind of is a really beautiful dovetail. It's not one or the other, it's the all. How do we get from our point A to point B as creators? The beautiful thing I think about, for example, with your mom being an artist, that beautiful connection between imagining and a canvas and creating with color and brushes. But I think for those of us who are digital creators, we're definitely putting on our left-brained hat in order to get into that focused space of actually
Mm,
getting things done. But it's a part of the process. It's really integrating feminine and masculine energy.
mm,
So we get the beautiful, amazing creative downloads. We stay connected in that beautiful, soulful space. We get clear. And then when we're ready, when we create that soul-fueled confidence, we can easily move into masculine energy mode and
mm.
get shit done.
Yeah,
And it's not a burden, it's a part of the process.
yeah,
It's kind of like, playing in 2025. We live in a digital age, and
yeah,
it's a part of what we humans have created.
yeah. And I think we need both. Again,
We need
it's
both.
not about either or. I usually say when we find ourselves at a crossroads and we go for it's either this or that. I usually say it's neither.
Right.
It has to be a third solution. There's never an either or. Either or is non-existent in the world, I believe. I believe that it's very often it's both,
I agree.
and sometimes it's neither. But 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 most often it's both. And with the feminine and masculine, it's absolutely both. It's just how we weave those together.
It's so
Uh,
much a part of who we are, and the energies are so beautiful. And and I do want to go back to your festival because you raised such a great point.
it's called, I want to tell you the name because it's amazing. It's called Echoes and Wonders. I
Ooh.
love that. You can feel the music in there.
It's so beautiful, and it really goes back to the fact that when we really lean in, when we really understand who we are and why we are here, and I do want to say this, and everybody, I'm sure everyone knows this, we are more energy than matter. The physical part of our body is minuscule compared to the energetic aspect of who we are. We are always connected to source energy. We are always connected to the quantum field. It cannot be any other way. And I'm bringing that up because, not feeling good about ourselves or getting into that self-judgment mode or worry mode or lack mode or whatever energies that we are holding within us, it just doesn't have to be that way. We can make a decision to every day become a little bit, in a very practical way, become a little bit more intentional about knowing ourselves, what the conversations we have in our minds, and how we can uplift ourselves and really get back into alignment with soul, with truth, and with the nature of the universe. The nature of the universe is very, very neutral. The nature of the universe is not, in that good or bad or any kind of a
Mhm.
judgment mode. It is what it is. It's a blank slate for us to decide how we want to think, creating that beautiful heart-mind coherence because our brains really are, you know, really coming from our heart chakra energy. And once we align that brain and heart with that energy, we can create whatever the heck we want and we can see it come to life in physical form.
Yeah, it was
It's
really impressive for me to. I got asked, "Oh, but you're going to this festival alone. You don't bring any kids." I said, "No, I'm going with a friend who's my age, and who decided she did not have the time or the bandwidth to get a costume. So I was in a costume that I'd created and she was not. And most of the people, uh, well, no, not most, but there were a lot of families. We were there over the weekend, and you could see that the kids had costumes. So the parents had created costumes for the kids, but so many of the parents did not do that for themselves.
Aw.
And it was like, why? Why are you denying yourself? Because you are in this judgment thing. And I got that, you're not a child to go and play dress up. And I said, fuck off, because basically, but I think we do that to ourselves. We self-judge ourselves before we enter the play zone. And then we don't play, we don't create, and we feel sad and shrinking and stuck in 3D or in 4D in our thinking of, I should have, I should do, I should be serious, I should be a grown up, I should. And I find that it's really so much um, me and me, basically. It's between me and me, and there's no one else. It's like, and when people say, "Oh, but what are other people going to think?" Basically, there is no other people.
Right.
You're doing the self-judging thing, and it makes me sad. Really, it makes me sad that so many of us punish ourselves preventively, just in case.
Right. And
You know.
yeah, and I want to go down this little tangent and I'll try to make it very brief. But the bigger picture about this kindergarten mind is that it really is about positioning yourself where you are seeing something new for the very first time.
Mm,
5-year-olds live in wonder.
mm,
5-year-olds live in magic. They live in awe. And we are, as adults, as you say, we are just programmed to get out of that space. Like, come on, you've got to be responsible. You've got to grow up.
there
This
are
is the
bills
way
to
that we
pay.
do things. Yeah,
Mm,
this is the
mm,
way that we do things. When we stay in wonder, the chances of money coming in to pay the bills, actually is probably greater because we're in a higher vibration and frequency where we're attracting more of that good stuff to us.
mm,
And I think the other thing about reality, and I do think in this new 5D upgrade, it probably will become more apparent. If you think about, the electromagnetic spectrum, and one part of the spectrum outside of like X-rays and infrared light and all of the other pieces of that spectrum, there is that tiny little sliver of visible light.
mm,
And that's what we humans see.
mm.
So we're living, I'm holding my hands up, everyone, in a very narrow band. So we have this much, we can see this much as human beings.
Yeah.
We know birds see ultraviolet light. We
Hmm.
know bees see ultraviolet light, I think, or what we all know that there are critters on the planet that can
Yeah.
live
Mm,
outside of the visible light range. But the point I think I'm making is who the heck defined this reality? Who defined this
mm.
particular 3D reality where this is the way that it is? When we all know, for those of us who are tuned in, we watch Doctor Who and then we're like, oh, wait, that's reality. You
Of
know,
course.
I
Of
love
course.
watching Doctor Who because then I remember, I'm like, oh, wait, that's right. That's what's
Yeah.
really going on here. And so it's kind of interesting that we grow up and get into that place of conformity that definitely can suppress our expansive creative aspect of who we are, that
Yeah.
5D aspect of who we are, and having it come through us in three-dimensional
And it
reality.
cuts joy, it cuts abundance, it cuts love, it basically
Laughter,
cuts, yeah,
compassion, connection,
keeps us stuck
meaning,
into the
fulfillment.
yeah.
It's
And
magical.
creativity, being an artist myself, and a teacher, every time somebody says, oh, but I'm not creative, I feel like, of course you are. Fuck off now. you know
You can't not be. Don't color in the
yeah,
line.
exactly, that There is no one that is not creative.
We came here. It is our very, very nature. It's our very nature in all different ways. It's just as creative to be, a total geek, creating a new language for a computer. It's the same, it's all
Of
everything we're doing
course.
is creative. And
Cooking, walking, hiking, whatever you do, you can do it in a creative way or for me, in an amputated way. And what we amputate ourselves from is the 5D consciousness. Um,
and the catch is that we're really everything we're creating is coming from 5D.
mhm,
Our creative downloads are not our own. We're receiving them from
of
5D.
course,
So,
of course.
it's so beautiful and really reassuring,
I
you know,
agree.
when I
Absolutely. Mhm.
when I feel set. And that's the thing about 3D. We can feel very separate and disconnected. But, as you and I talk about this beautiful energy in 5D today, I will finish the rest of my day being completely in this high vibe frequency of like, that's what it is. That's what this life is about.
Mhm.
You know, consistently and intentionally returning back to that higher frequency because
Yeah,
it's much more reflective of what is really going on.
yeah. And I'm going to push a little bit just to be annoying because I like to do that.
I love that. I love that about
Maybe
you.
it's not. Maybe it's not reality. And who the heck cares? If I'm happier, more abundant, and more loving, believing that I live in 3D, or in 5D, sorry, who the heck cares if that's real or not?
I agree.
You know, we don't care. This is not the important bit. The important bit is not whether this is reality or not. The important bit is how much good it does me and the world around me. And if I'm delusional, good.
I
I love
completely
this thing that
agree.
says, "Oh, somebody said I was delusional. I almost fell off my unicorn." It's like I love this. Of course, maybe I am delusional, believing that there is such thing as energy and blah blah blah. Although science, as you were saying, is kind of leaning very strongly towards that. But maybe I am delusional. Who the fuck cares? Because
I agree.
basically, if I'm happier, more abundant, make more money, and make more joy and good things around me, good for me, good for the people around me. Let me be Delulu.
Well, and I do think, mindset at the end of the day is really about perception. So what you perceive as reality or what I do or what anyone else does it really is our own business.
Mm,
We don't know what anyone else is perceiving. And
I
I
agree.
and I know this is completely tangential, but I remember asking my mom as a kid, I probably was like 6 or 7, and I said something like, "Mom, does everyone see the color red the same way?
Mhm.
Do we?
Very good question.
I mean, do we? I
Mhm.
don't know. None of what we experience is uniform.
No, absolutely not. And again, when you speak different languages like I do, you realize that the colors have different names in different languages. So the Greeks consider that there are so many shades of blue that other people call green because they have so much sea. So basically, the blue is all over. So
I've
they
heard
think,
that.
and I think it's makes sense. So no, we don't have the same experience of the world, and it doesn't matter. What matters is how much I'm I'm happy and how much happiness I bring to other people. And my father had a quote. I don't believe I'm going to quote my father. Ha! Everything happens. He said, it was a question that, because he came from a very, very depressed village, basically, that was living in economic crisis for many years. And his question was, do you seriously believe that by living small, by living sad, you will live eternally?
I
And
love that.
that's a huge one, I think, it's like, you know, this is not what's going to make us live forever. Um,
There is no spirituality in struggle.
mm, yeah, I agree. And keeping myself small is doing no one any favors.
Any good.
Mm.
And it doesn't feel good.
No, exactly. And that is, to every extent of my work, and I think yours, if it doesn't feel good, then it's not good.
Right.
That's it,
Right.
Uh, and for me, that remains the most practical way to know if I'm in the right direction or not. Does it feel good? Yes. Keep going. No, stop. Change direction.
Our bodies are completely energetic. Our cells are always tuned in. Our bodies in this three-dimensional reality are such a gift, and they are not, how could I say this? On one level, we know that they are a vessel for us to be able to take action and create in a physical way. But on another level, our bodies are always connected to all that is. We have 50 to 100 trillion cells inside of us,
Mm,
each with a very, very, very tiny voltage. So we quite literally are energetic
hmm.
beings. We are quite literally connected and enmeshed and entangled in the quantum field. And
Yeah,
when we listen to our bodies, that's when we create that path of dis-ease.
yeah. I was
And
in
I
Paris with my mom for a few days, just recently. And so I'm French. I love Paris. There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of fun, blah, blah, blah. After a few days, I started noticing that I felt dry, like literally dry. My skin was dry. And because I was not drinking enough, because you can't drink in Paris that much, because then you need a toilet every 5 minutes, which there isn't. And after 10 days, I came back home and I realized, okay, this is why actually my body was telling me you can't live there. You can go on a vacation there, but you need to come back to get out to a place where you can drink enough and hydrate enough in any way, shape, or form so that your skin does not crackle because I've got a skin disease. So it's really important for me. But it was like my body was saying, hey, you can enjoy yourself here for a while, but this is not where you live. And I could have not listened. I could decide that Paris is amazing, that there's cinemas and theaters and concerts, and I want to live there.
and
And
the
I could even,
architecture
yeah,
are,
of course, there's so many amazing things, but my body doesn't agree with it. So I can
and our
listen or
bodies
not.
know.
Yeah.
Our bodies always know. And I do, and speaking of American culture, part of our one of our prevailing cultural phenomenon is you just have to push harder,
Hmm.
push through it, make it happen. And for me
Yeah.
being a native New Yorker, I think that I had even more of that
Yeah.
energetic, just make it happen, force it to happen, da 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 da. Every once in a while it has come in handy if I
Keep
really,
going, push,
yeah,
be,
push, push,
mm,
push. And there is I was just talking about this last night. There's a reason why 8 out of 10 autoimmune deficiencies are diagnosed in women.
mm,
Particularly, we women, yes, we both have divine masculine and feminine energy, but I think for women, we are meant to be still. We are meant to receive these creative downloads. We are meant to create in a very flowy, watery, kind of way that is all about ease and flow and the nature of the divine feminine.
and that
And
is
when,
not reflected in New York hustle society.
oh my gosh, not at all. Not at all. And it definitely, and it's very interesting. I know that we're kind of running out of time here, but to get back to this loop, and I could mention the 5C framework and chakras, and I will in a moment, but it just reminds me as we were talking about create Okay, let me take a step back. We all know, for those of us who lean toward a spiritual life, for many of us, we have a very difficult time in three-dimensional reality.
Mm,
And like I said at the beginning of the episode, we just kind of would prefer to go home. And and I know this to be true because I have felt this, and I definitely have many, many clients who have
mm,
shared this with me as well. And the bottom line is that when I had my near-death experience, I saw my soul kind of rise above, and I was able to look at myself on different timelines through my personal history. I
mm,
understand time is not linear, but I'm making it that way. I saw
mhm.
my soul in past lives, and I was exactly the same. You know, exactly the same as I am now, like silly, smart, creative, a nonconformist, blah, blah, whatever, whatever, whatever. And when I kind of got back into my physical reality and body, I thought to myself, I am body, mind, and soul, but clearly I don't need my body. Like I got to see my soul and experience my soul at a different level. So I'm going to focus on my intellectual development and went back and enrolled in a PhD program, focus on my spiritual development and get back into like ashram and meditating and science of mind and all of the stuff and Yogananda that resonated with me. And I left my body behind.
Mm,
And it was very intentional.
mm,
And lo and behold, a few years later, I started creating dis-ease in my body that
mm,
ended up becoming a full-blown autoimmune deficiency. So we really can't stuff everything away. It really is critical that we enjoy the integration and the feeling and the journey
mm.
of absolutely embracing ourselves in the physical, in the body, in the mind, and in the soul, in just a really beautiful, easy, flowy, happy, expansive way
Yeah,
that
and in the
works for
same way
each of
that
us.
I'm guessing in the same way that the chakras function as energetic centers for the body and above, but they all have to be functioning. It's not, you can't just decide. I remember when I first learned about the chakras, I was studying Tantra, and there were people there, and the workshops were organized by chakra. So, workshop one was 4 days of intensive work on the first chakra, etc., etc. And there were people who asked the teachers, "Can I come only for the higher chakras? Because, I don't want to be dealing with the lowest thing." And the teacher just started laughing. She was amazing. And she said, "Yeah, you can. You can do whatever you want, but we can't function just from the waist above. This is not how it goes. You're here for to function all together." So I'm guessing that's how your um, version of the 5C framework connects with the chakra, with the integration of the wholeness of us.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that may or may not be, a well-known piece of the chakra puzzle, if you think about your heart chakra, really is kind of like the fulcrum between your higher chakras, throat, third eye, and crown, and then the root and the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra below that heart fulcrum. And you kind of begin to fold, if you fold that, the linear, I'm using my hands right now, everyone. If you take the heart as the center, like a piece of paper, and you fold it in half, the root chakra aligns with the crown, the sacral chakra aligns with the third eye, and the solar plexus aligns with the throat. And it's
Surprise!
really right. And so we've got these beautiful, what I would call the energetic earthbound chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. Those are the chakras that are kind of keeping us in balance in physical form,
Mm,
where we feel safe, where we feel rooted into the earth, where we feel creative and connected in the sacral chakra, where we have beautiful fire and confidence and self-worth in that solar plexus. And then as it moves up energetically in a kind of a kundalini way
mm,
through the heart, now we bring all of that, the essence of who we are in physical form up into the throat to communicate and express whatever it is we're creating, whatever it is we need to say. And then, of course, that our third eye chakra is all about our intuition and our wisdom, and then moving into the all expansive crown. But, it's no surprise that third eye is associated with the sacral chakra. It's beautiful
Mm,
feminine energy. So it's all about water, it's all about intuition, it's all about spiritual responsibility and seeing things in a different way. The same is true for the root. We're grounding ourselves and trusting life. And in the crown, we're opening up and trusting all that is. So it's the same
yeah,
energy coming from a different place.
I love that. Thank you. That's a very beautiful reminder.
And one last bit, the confidence from our solar plexus is aligned with our throat. Do we have the confidence and the belief in ourselves and self-worth to be able to say and express what it is we need to say?
Yeah. I have we're not here to talk about that. So one day we will talk about, I have a program and a modal that I've called Rise, which goes up the chakras with each of the chakras being connected with one Greek goddess archetype.
I
And
love
that's
that.
exactly that the part of the throat one is Athena, and she's goddess of truth and wisdom. So it's about when my voice is a reflection of my truth or when it's not, and how
It's
I
so
get blocked.
beautiful. It's so powerful. And I do think that when we are intentional about being open to all of the possibilities of, and this, yes, I'm talking about multidimensionality in 3 and 4 and 5D, but we are infinitely multidimensional.
Yeah,
It's not just 1, 2, and 3 or 3, 4, and 5, right? There's layers in between that are absolutely infinite.
yeah, I
And so
agree.
what belief system, what storytelling, what traditions, what science, what new discovery, what spirituality, what goddess, what theory, what resonates with you and empowers you to tune in and become what your soul is calling you to become. And it's different for each and every one of us.
Yeah, but definitely
Okay,
become.
web for what resonates with you and empower you to it. Your soul is calling you
Okay,
to
Siri,
become, and
thank
it's
you.
different for each.
Thank you. Okay, then Siri
AI
got into our
decided
conversation.
to join the conversation. I
Yes.
love that.
And
But yeah,
so
what?
and I know that I promised talking about the 5C framework, but the 5C framework is connecting and clarity, getting confident to create so you can communicate and you can conjure at the highest level. It is not linear, it is circular, but ultimately it is really about the divine feminine of connecting, of being in stillness so we can receive the creative downloads, remember who we are at the highest level, release all of our old programming and limits so we
Mm,
can really begin to confidently create, having that sense of stillness inside of us as we move into masculine energy, taking aligned action, and
mm.
then conjuring whatever it is we want to see manifest in our lives and our physical reality. It is
What I love is that
absolutely vibrational.
it could work upwards the chakra or downwards. It would
Exactly.
work as a spiral. For me, the chakras represent, not for me, just for me, but they represent the rainbow colors. And so the rainbow is not a flat thing or a linear thing. It's actually an arch, right? So you can imagine that it's actually a circle, and that the colors go around. And so in the same way, there is no high chakra, as in better than any other, just like there is no better dimension like or any other, just like your 5C framework. Every bit of each C is important. You can't go without connection. You can't function without clarity. You can't function without confidence. You can't function without creation or creativity or communication or even conjure. So
Right.
basically, we need to be all of this. And again, we need to visit and live in all our dimensions day in, day out, and have fun with it.
Absolutely. I don't want to say it's very intentional. It's not about work. It's about little tiny incremental shifts in our own self-awareness. It's just a
Yeah.
beautiful unfolding. It's just a
For
part of
me,
our journey.
if I'm going to be very, very honest about that, for me, the recipe, if there is one, is stop being okay with not feeling good.
I agree.
Whenever I don't feel good, it means there's something that I need to micro shift, to change, increment somewhere else. And I'm guessing that it starts very tiny, but the changes are very, very big.
I
Because
agree. And I think the thing about our bodies, the beautiful gift of our bodies, is that not feeling good or feeling worry or feeling anxious is our body's way of letting us know on an emotional and feeling level that what we are thinking or feeling is not aligned with the truth of what our
mm,
reality really is. So our body and our soul is like 3D to 5D, like forget about the mind, but our bodies are always connected to all that is and to source
mm.
energy. And when our bodies give us a signal, and we all know that feeling, that pit that we have in our stomach. And when we,
I believe that both are, if I'm hearing you right, and that comes to my belief that the bodies know everything, the soul knows everything, the mind thinks it knows
I
everything,
love that. It's
and
so true.
the problem is that at the end of the day, we don't know what we don't know. So our brain does not know what it doesn't know. Our minds are a saboteur. And that's why we
Completely.
need the coaches. That's why we need the mentors. That's why we need the people, because we need somebody to kind of bring this mirror and say, "Hey, your mind is making you wrong. Basically, is wronging you." You say that? I don't think you
I think you
know.
can say that. I think you
Your
can say
mind
that.
is the trickster here, and the thing is, we have been taught that the mind is the most important thing, so we believe it, but
Right.
it's the least believable part of us, uh, and it's sabotaging our growth, I believe, and that's why we need you and me, and basically the coaches and the mentors. We need somebody from outside of our mind.
I absolutely agree. And I think, even if we are not ready to get back into any kind of a meditation or mindfulness place, for sure, the quickest way to remember who you are and to get back into your truth with a capital T, feel it in your heart.
Mm.
Our heart rules all. It is not our mind. We definitely have been, as I would say in American English, sold a false bill of goods. Right? Get back, drop into the vibration of your heart. It will never, ever, ever fail you. There is so much research at this point about, all the electromagnetic scientific energy connecting the heart to how we create.
Mm.
We're really not creating from our mind. We're creating from heart-mind coherence.
Well, we have been talking for over an hour. We're supposed
As
to do
usual,
45 minutes, as usual, but it's been so interesting. I think this is a nice stopping point.
I do
If
too.
you, okay, so I think, go back to the hearts seems like a very nice conclusion.
And breathe.
Now, of course, you dearest listeners, you are going to get stuck because that's what the brain does. In which case, you can reach out to Dr. Sheri. That's why she is
Absolutely.
there. You will find all the freebies that she has the incredible generosity to share with us Under each episode, you will also find links to her YouTube, to her website, to a free session that she will grant any of you. So if you feel like this resonates and that you are stuck with your brain and your mind is playing tricks on you and selling you false goods, there she is. And she's just waiting for your call. I am so, so grateful for this amazing series of episodes, Sheri. This has been really making my day and, creating so much reflection and creativity in me talking to you. So
Me
I'm
as
really
well.
excited for the listeners to enjoy that as well, because we're recording quite a few weeks before they're released, the episodes. So thank you again so much. And I'm sure we will get to collaborate again on this or that or something
Absolutely.
else. Dear
Absolutely.
listeners, if this is the only episode you've listened, you're missing out. There's another 4. Go and find them. If you've listened to the 5 of them, you can go and listen to them again, because this is also one of the things that our mind tricks us with, is we forget. We forget that we are here to create and to enjoy. So if you've enjoyed this one, go and enjoy the other episodes again, or
Absolutely.
maybe more episodes on my podcast or
I'm
on
sure.
Sherry's YouTube. So
Absolutely. You
thank
know
you
that
so
we're there.
much to everyone who was there with us. And thank you again, Sherry, for
Thank you,
playing with me.
everyone.
It has been amazing. Bye for
And
now.
namaste.
Yes,
Bye bye.
absolutely. Bye.